Hi guys, today I am going to show a few different ways of using the Denman D3 brush depending on your curl goals. So, as is seen in some of my older videos, it does take a little bit of getting used to when you start out with your Denman D3, but I like to think I've cracked it, so I am just going to basically make your life easier if you're struggling. This is the Denman D3. It's available in Boots and I believe it is $7.50 on Amazon. So you can take out some of the rows if you need to, if you feel like this is a bit too harsh on your hair. And the way you do it, it's not the easiest, I will admit. You have to sort of push up the pink bit, or I think it's red on the black brush, and this is what happens. You can then unfold it, and then the rows, if you press on the sort of teeth, the rows just pop out, she says. There we go. So if you sort of pull on the teeth one by one, the rows lift out. I'm not going to do it all because I liked them all in and they are quite awkward to put back in. And this is also how you can take it apart to clean it. I am gross and I haven't cleaned it yet. But looking at it, it's not too bad, so I'll probably do it in the next couple of weeks. Then these sort of grooves just slot back together, and you just slide it back into the body, the handle part. Again, it's quite stiff, but it does go back in. So before I start, I am just going to share a few sort of pieces of advice before you get stuck in. I have shared these on my Instagram, but for those of you that aren't following me on Instagram for whatever reason. So the first thing I would advise, it does sound quite obvious, but make sure your hair is wet, not damp. It's quite harsh and unforgiving, like the bristles are quite hard. So I found if I try and use this on damp hair, it just snags and causes frizz, and to be quite honest, it hurts. I also recommend detangling your hair with a different brush first. I have detangled with this brush in the past, usually on a wash day when my hair's got plenty of slip and it's usually soaking wet. But if you're going to use it to refresh, I recommend detangling separately. If your hair is still snagging in the brush, you can actually get this brush wet. So I might do that today, where it's going to be a refresh brush, as it were. Yeah, I have found if I dip the brush in warm water, that does help sort of reduce the friction and snagging a little bit. So I'm going to demo the different ways in a second of using the brush to style your hair. I found that generally, if you want volume, hold the brush vertically, and if you want definition and clumps, hold it horizontally. And there are, within those sort of subcategories, there are different techniques as well. So the goal when using the Denman brush is to create tension in your hair. So think about when you curl a ribbon with a pair of scissors. It's the same sort of principle, but with your hair. And I found when I'm brush styling, if I hold my hair, say for example I'm brush styling this bit of hair, if I hold my hair at the roots as I'm brushing, that sort of reduces the unnecessary tension and pulling on my scalp, whilst getting the tension in the mid-lengths and ends of my hair. So it's just a little bit gentler and it sort of reduces breakage and pain at the scalp. So that's enough waffling. I'm now going to get started. I do have a clip somewhere, here we go. So what I'm going to do is, I am just going to work out what I'm doing. I'm going to section out, let's say this piece of hair, decent size, but not too big. So I'm just going to clip up my hair, looking rather fetching. So I've come prepared because I've locked myself in my bedroom to film this. I've got a little bowl of warm water. Yeah, it's still quite warm. I consider myself to have low porosity hair. So my hair works better on a refresh when I get it wet, and also, like I've said, I'm going to be using the Denman brush, which is very unforgiving, so it's best to sort of start with your hair wet anyway. So as you can see, I'm just trying to get it wet without covering myself in water. I should have put a towel down. Right, and to detangle my hair, I'm just going to use an old paddle brush that I've had knocking around for years. And when you're detangling, again, similar to when I'm brush styling, I'm holding it here and starting at the mid-lengths and ends. And again, that just reduces any unnecessary tension and sort of breakage and damage. My hair is getting so knotty at the moment. What I'm going to do as well, now annoyingly, right, I would use my spray bottle. I keep thumping it as I'm talking. I would use my spray bottle to get my hair nice and wet, but it packed in a few weeks ago. The trigger just popped off, and even my husband, who's weirdly, even though he's got no like qualifications, he's weirdly good at fixing things. He looked at it and was like, yeah, that's gone, love. So I am going to have to buy a new one. So in the meantime, I'm just wetting it old school and getting myself soaking in the process. Try and get my roots done well. Right. So, like I said, I am going to be getting the Denman Brush Wet as well, just to help. And what I am going to do, let's pretend, say for example, I'm washing my hair, nice wet hair, detangled. I'm going to add just a little bit of the Coconut Curl Booster because it gives me such good slip. I do have a video at some point coming out reviewing this product, well, this range. I think I was going to do it next month, but I think I might have to bump one of my videos and do it this month because I'm using the products a lot. So keep an eye out. So I'm doing the sort of bear claw method, I believe it's called, and this helps give clumps, which is going to make it easier to brush style. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 different ways that I have found of brushing your hair with the Denman. So I'm just dipping it in my water. The first one I find is best if I'm being lazy and I want to just create a bit of volume whilst reducing frizz. So I'm going to start, as always, from the mid-lengths and ends. See, it is quite harsh. That's why I've getting the brush wet and I've added the product with the slip in it. Literally just brush up and out. There is a slight dry patch up here. Up and out, and then I'm sort of squeezing it to bring the clumps back together. And then what I do is I just give it a little scrunch, and that's my sort of quick, lazy, easy way. And brushing up and out, as I said, it creates the volume and it just stops the curls sort of sitting on top of each other. It separates them out a little bit. But I do find when I do this method, I do lose that little bit of definition. So that's what I'm going to show you guys now. So let's get rid of all these little clumps because we're going to make new ones. I need to split my hair into 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sort of squeeze them to try and get them back together. So the first one, this is the most recent technique I've discovered. I'm going to start with that one because it's my favourite. So again, I'm just brushing, spraying water everywhere. And what I'm going to do is I start the brush from about here, hold onto my roots again to reduce that tension, and then if it will let me, it's not going to let me, so again I'm just going to detangle first, get my hair as smooth as I can. This is the slight downside to using the Denman brush during a refresh. Right, try again. So, and then you just turn the brush over, slowly drag it down, and then give it a little wiggle, and it should create, if you sort of spin it as well a little bit, I find, that creates just a nice, loose, natural looking ringlet. And that is the version of brush styling that I've started doing the most now, because it's relatively quick and it does give quite good results. Number 2. 1, 2, 3. Right, I think this is all one clump now. But let's just... I'm a bit all over the place today, sorry guys, I swear I'm not normally like this. I am actually, to be fair. Right, so that's my ribbon curl. The next one is sort of brush twisting, and I don't think my hair particularly likes this one. So you just pull the brush down your hair, and then you literally just twist the brush as much as you can without looping it around. It's so hard to do in the mirror. And then that gives, I don't know what that is, it sort of goes to a loose ringlet at the bottom. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. So that was brush twisting. Brush coiling next. There are 2 ways I've seen of brush coiling, the old way and the new way. So do the old way first. I haven't done the old way for quite a while, so let's see if I can remember how to do it. That's it. So you go down with it twisted, you then roll up. This is the new way. This is the new way, guys. This is the new way I've learned. Then, this is also the hard bit. You unwind it. And then that gives a tighter, more defined ringlet. So sorry guys, that was the new way. Like I said, I haven't done it for a while, so I did forget. And then the old way. This is the way, oh, I've just spotted, oh, down my cleavage. And then the new way, this is the way that I used to do it in my videos. So you literally start at the top, similar to the new way of brush curling. I hope I'm making sense. I don't know why I'm so scatterbrained today. And then you catch it and twist it, and that gives a sort of defined curl, but also at the same time not. So there is a reason why I've stopped doing that. So just to reiterate, this curl is the ribbon curl. This method, this curl is brush twisting. This one is the new way of brush coiling. And this little fella is the old way of brush coiling. So I've got these 4 distinct curls here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I am going to do now is just, sort the camera out, is just leave them to dry naturally. I do sometimes sieve diffuse, but because I don't want to disturb this curl pattern, I want to sort of make sure that they stay separate. I don't want to break up the clumps. I am just going to leave them look like a fool for the next couple of hours, and then I'll be back to compare the results, talk about the sort of pros and cons of each one, and let you guys decide which brush styling method you think would work best for you. I'll see you in a bit. So it's been a couple of hours now. My hair is pretty much dry. I've sort of very quickly scrunched out the crunch. So now I'm going to see if I can remember which curl is which. So this one was the ribbon curl, where I just brushed up and under and then gave it a little wiggle. This one was the brush twisting. So I brushed to the end and then just twisted the brush until the curl went all the way up. This one was the new version of brush coiling, where I sort of went down to the ends, rolled the brush up towards my scalp and then gently unwound it. And this poor little thing is with the old version of brush coiling. So what I generally do is, you can see here that this is sort of looks like more than one curl. So I will very gently find the natural gap in the curl and then just very gently separate them out. And this, I find, just really helps put some of that volume back into my hair that brush styling sort of sacrifices, as dramatic as that sounds. So pros and cons side. So for the ribbon curl, the first curl I made, that is, as I said, that's my favourite method of brush styling. It's really quick, it's really simple, and it gives pretty much perfect ringlets. When I do my whole head using that brush ribbon method, it does actually look like I've curled my hair. So that is quite good. Now, to be quite honest, I am struggling to find a negative with that. The only sort of negative I can think of is that some hair types might not react well to it. Because of the stretching of it, certain hair types might just find that all it does is stretch out the curl. I have seen on various social media outlets that some people have said that they don't get on with a Denman brush because they find that all it does is just pull out their hair. So that's probably the sort of main negative that I would think of for using the Denman brush for ribbon curls. Brush twisting next. That was the one that I think is this one, because where I've separated out all the curls, I've sort of lost them now. That one, my hair sort of likes it, but sort of doesn't, if that makes sense. So it's with the twisting and twisting and twisting. If your hair doesn't have layers in it, that method sort of might not work, because it will just make your hair go into sort of tubes of curls. And I do find sometimes if my curl is too sort of tightly wound, if I separate it out, it will just curl back together. So I do find that with the brush twisting that I get these big, I think they're called barrel curls, where it's just like a big tube of hair. And I personally, I've seen some people with these just really massive chunky ringlets, and I think it looks really nice. I just personally don't think that my hair suits it. Now the brush, I'll do the new brush coiling first, because that's the order I did it in. So that method where you roll the brush up and then unwind it, that gives really tightly defined curls, but it is quite time consuming. I did find when I went through a phase when I first learned how to do it, of doing my whole head, and I was having to re-wet my hair after a while because it did just take forever. It felt like it took forever. So yes, it does give the really good bouncy defined tight curls, but particularly if you've got a lot of hair like me, it was quite time consuming. So that's the sort of downside to that method. And my old version, this poor little thing, you can see why I've started looking at different methods of brush styling with the Denman. It starts okay, it just doesn't hold the curl all the way down. It's a little bit of a mess, to be quite honest. But if your hair is if you like the loose waves, which sometimes I do, I will admit, like, I do think my hair does suit the sort of looser, more surfer waves, but I personally like when my hair goes into these proper defined ringlets, especially with the new hair colour. I really like having these bouncy ginger ringlets. So the old version of the brush Coiling, like I say, it has its place, just not on my head. Now I'll quickly touch on the brushing up and out for volume as well. So that brushing up and out, that does work. As I said, that gives volume. So what I generally try and do, I can't remember if I said this, but I'm going to say again, what I've started doing the last couple of times I've washed my hair is I will brush up and out for the volume, and then I'll sort of look at where the sort of vertical clump separates, and I will then brush style that horizontally. And I find that that is sort of a good compromise, because if I just brush up and out, I find that my hair goes more on the wavy side, and it's not frizzy, but it just doesn't have that definition that I like. So yeah, so I sort of try and combine the two types of brush styling just to make sure that my hair looks as good as it can be. Like I say, where it's still slightly damp, you can see they are dropping slightly. But hopefully, I feel like this has just been half hour, however long I've been filming for, of gibberish. But I'm hoping that this video has sort of answered a few questions and sort of acted as a bit of troubleshooting if you're struggling with using your Denman brush. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, what your favourite brush styling method is, and also if you have any questions, I will try and answer them. Like I keep saying, I'm not a professional. I've just been sort of looking at how to look after my hair for 3.5 years now. So that's 3.5 years worth of sort of research that I have. So if you're a newbie starting out, feel free to reach out to me in the comments section on YouTube or on my Instagram. As always, don't forget to hit like, subscribe and share, and I will see you soon. Bye bye. Hi guys, today I am going to show a few different ways of using the Denman. Why the hell does this not want to go back in? So, yeah. So, that bus. Pardon me. As always, don't forget to I hit the